hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time. What did he just call you? Oh no, not this again. You just got away from that fucking kid.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid, freaking evil to scab. Or I guess, scared maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time. No, I said scab. I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, "Let us cop for less money." Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the wild north? Come to see the strife? A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Oh, say no more. I got you. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. I'm not so sure about the hustle grind, but it doesn't matter. It's a good thing you're doing. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling in rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in, this jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Everard. Who he is and what they're fighting for. This is interesting.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. This stuff, they already covered. It's not enough. Not enough to get ahead. More about keeping us in our place. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
The board is where the stockholders send their representatives. Often, those representatives don't even represent the stockholders' interests. It's not actually like some council-based democracy. This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people or deporting them to a labor camp in Southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
Quite a shitty board, I must say. Means someone's got to reform it. I, for one, want to face the fat ones when decisions are made. You see, the owners already benefit greatly from the harbor. No one can doubt that. They get so much. Aye, now here's the thing. At any time, some other capitalist could take the place over with the blink of an eye, without even owning any of the buildings. So why should they be the only ones with the power to take stuff over? Hey, if the rich folks screw over poor folk with little concern for their merits or futures, why shouldn't poor folk screw over rich folk from time to time? No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all. Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't. Just the way the world works, Boyadero. I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own.
By that, you mean corruption?
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish. He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway, and moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
Not you would like to say. But then there's that weasel door. This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
Sure, I've had the necessary free time. Fortunately, there's always time.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. It all comes together now. The way he speaks about scabs, his general attitude. He's a follower of a 500-year-old Franco-Nigerian Boyadero code, itself an appropriation of Vespertine cool. That of a noble peasant or a traveling herdsman. True to yourself, independent in your actions, loyal to your friends. No. No. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide, yet it feels as if he could effortlessly go even wider, if need be, an endless torrent of time.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course. Your dead guy was an enemy combatant. He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He's not lying about not doing it himself. He means a more violent faction could easily take care of such a thing.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search.
A Stars Ryko, one of the finest Zhimsk-made motor carriages ever. An oldie but a goldie. Not many people outside of Grad, and Revachol West too, it appears. Bulky frame, heavy, hardy, looks like a tractor. Yes, built like a tractor, and used like one too in the Zemsk countryside. Take note of the 8-antler emblem, the symbol of the Stars Ryko, proudly born to honor its humble roots.
A Stash Raiko KK2. That's a classic model. Never thought I'd see another one repainted after what happened last time.
No, only that the motor carriage is typically baby blue, the colors of Sigismund the Great, an ancient Zemsk ruler. His banners were famously zephyr and white, the colors of the Stars Ryko.
That's, well, yes, exactly it, more or less. Except it was a crowd of them. Tore him out of the vehicle and ran him over with his own tires. They said it was an honor killing, Hussar style. The James community protested the trial, flying the colors. 5,000 came to protest.
Correction, 4,395, the fourth largest public protest of a criminal trial in Revachol.
Is that so, officer? I'll take you at your word. People we are paid to protect. Let's leave it at that. 4 years for murder in Reunion. The perps were remorseful. Their sorry knocked 8 years off the sentence. That's the system.
The prisons in the greater Revachol Industrial Harbor are already full. Prisoners are expensive to maintain. The longer the sentence, the larger the cost.
I tried to avoid drawing far-gone conclusions like these before actually examining the body, but my initial guess is the two are unrelated. Yes, detective? You sure you're not Jimsk?
Yes, you're sure you're not. Or if you are, it's only in that Revacholian way. 4 to 5% maximum.
Bastards! We have a right to work! Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down.
We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes. Good. We're fighting for a cause here. Right to work! Right to work!
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds confidence.
Rights of people, rights of workers, to have gainful employment, to make a salary, and feed their families.
His manner of speaking is wooden, the tone of voice bland and uninspired, almost as if compiling replies from a set of learned phrases.
Might be time. Don't let the fat bastards tread on you. Cops tend to side with the higher-ups, but you're essentially still workers. I don't trust cops, but I can see you understand the
Right to work! Right to work!
Maybe you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here.
Shame on you!
We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people.
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we
Have the right to work!
When the man moves around, you perceive some serious abs underneath his tight-fitting shirt. This man is in shape. There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting. His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what.
Honest men and women with rights to work, to be useful, not toys for corporate interests.
We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
Now that is interesting.
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market.
the rules of the economy because they were given a job to do!
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? Am I a suspect? Done no crimes. I only fight for the rights of people.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems a more brutal, cunning, and suspicious person. Just a hunch. Or you just might be paranoid.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell?
Pretty okay as far as lies go.
We're done here. I have a strike to break. Right to work! Right to work! Sure, things are busy enough. You're going to waste less of my time?
The hulking man oozes stop.
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guard's blocking the way to the access panel. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Huge Seminese guy standing up there on the overhead passage. Won't let anyone by. The access panel is right behind him. Bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous position. And he's trained. I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no joke. And my men are tired and hungry. They're workers, not fighters. Why don't you go arrest them instead? I'm sure they've done plenty of criminal shit. They have that look.
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home, at least for now, if you can't get in anyway.
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge. What's it to you? No, don't think we've met before. I came to help out people.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd worked at...
Pretty okay as far as lies go.
Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. What's it to you? No.
Every once in a while.
We're all worked at...
Pretty okay as far as lies go.
Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. What's it to you? Big mess, caused by Union greed. But I only fight for the rights of people.
Every once in a while.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs. Worked at...
Pretty okay as far as lies go.
Uh-huh. So...
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine. A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo. Their logo is the bloodless rose, pure white, untouched by harm.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed, Duramine, Magnesium, and Hypnogamma. I don't know. Let's see. Nosafed is a nasal spray. Duramine is a really good painkiller. Magnesium is a dietary supplement. Hypnogamma is... I don't really know what Hypnogamma is. I guess it makes you feel less shit. It's recommended to use after lots of partying, studying, or exercising. Saint Baptiste. You know, the pharmaceuticals company. Saint Baptiste Pharmaceuticals. The one that sells meds out of Saint Baptiste. That one.
She is right. Saint Baptiste, the company, derives its name from Saint Baptiste, the city. Itself so named because that's what it is. A rare case where that really is the full etymological history. As far as almost anyone knows, at least.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big Fritta slogan on the back. The packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
What is what? It's a raincoat. If you want to buy one, then it's only 4 real.
Her attention is drawn to the raincoats. Stealing one undetected will now be more difficult.
Here you go.
This will keep you nice and warm out there. Good choice, if a bit goofy looking. A colourful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles line the shop wall, inviting you closer. The bottles wink at you in the light. The smokes too glitter in their wrapping. It's like looking into a kind of heaven. Your knees are weak. There, in that dark green glass, all in vain. The great flowing river of warmth, wine, alcohol, beer, alcohol, love, alcohol.
Guess not, no.
Good thing you're an unrecovering alcoholic then.
I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health. But I guess you already know that.
Don't ask, don't look, don't do anything here. Just go away. Get back to work.
Welcome to Frit. Feel free to look around or something. Everything is out on the shelves.
What's that magazine she's reading?
You mean this? This is Pop Stars. It's got, like, famous people in it. It's not for sale.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This speaks to you.
It's where they rate different outfits famous people wear. It's kind of funny. They're kind of mean. It's about who's the most stylish. No, I don't think so.
We are not the fashion police. We're the real police.
I don't know. Frit? I think they think that the extra T makes it funkier. It doesn't.
The story goes that normal Fritta, with 2 T's, a men's workwear shop in Vredefort, was already taken. So when Fritta Retail Inc. grew into a multinational corporation, they had to add an extra letter to avoid trademark infringement.
Okay. I'm not really supposed to be chatting to anyone, but... I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... Not really. No. I didn't know him at all. I don't know, really long. I don't know.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything, let us know, okay?
Okay. Uh-huh. Reality? You mean, what reality? Economic reality, or...?
She is like a student unexpectedly called upon by a teacher. Can she answer the classroom question?
I don't really know anything. I mean, I'm 15. Yeah, that's why I'm working my arse off in Frit. So I guess, like, that's economic. I don't know. What about it? I don't know. Look at the clock. It's right behind you on the wall.
The clock shows the time at 10:09. The hands seem to be still. It's apparent the clock doesn't work.
We're in Frit? As mankind, or as a nation, or...
What will her essay prompt be?
We're in a transition. You know, transitioning from, monarchy to democracy, all that stuff. When ordinary people take over the government and, demand democracy. Yeah, it happened like 50 years ago or so. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. At history, I mean. Our government? Or do you mean something else? Sorry, I really need to finish this article. Cool.
Welcome to Rivachol.
This man looks like trouble. You might not want to get into this right now. Plenty of time later.
Don't you welcome to Revachol me. My grandfather came here from a 3,000-year-old racist isolationist culture, while your ancestors came to this island a mere 300 years ago. Every school of thought and government has failed in the city, but I love it nonetheless. It belongs to me as much as it belongs to you.
The lieutenant's impassive mask has been replaced with intensity. He speaks not as a cop, but as a citizen. He is Vacholier, a Revacholian.
It's men like you who keep Revachol divided, making it that much harder for everyone to climb out of this post-war limbo.
What he means is, fixation on the Revacholian nation makes it harder for Revachol to actually attain self-determination.
Oh, come on, man. I just said welcome to Rivachol. It's a lorry driver thing.
I know exactly what you meant. You think my kind doesn't belong here, that I should watch myself and behave. But you see, I'm an officer of the RCM. It's actually my job to make sure you behave. I would advise you to remember that.
Silence. The air between them becomes tense. Your partner needs backup. Now's your moment to shine.
You two make a cute couple. You know that?
The lieutenant exhales and resumes his regular calmness.
Whatever you say, officers.
He smells of heavy motor oils and his breath of high tar content cigarettes, probably Astra Whites.
Oh man, that's great. Look at that guy go. Haven't seen anything that funny in a while. God damn. Thanks for that, but no, it's not mine.
He doesn't live in Martinez.
It's about biological determinism, natural law, the sorting of the races. Not the most popular topic nowadays, with the coalition in charge and all. You might want to change the topic. That is, bury your head under the sand like common sheep.
Change the topic. The way he says it makes it almost sound like a threat. Not sheep, ostriches. Actually, neither ostriches or sheep bury their heads in the sand. It's just a saying.
I'm not the only one. Look, I've read books. The science of racial theory has all been proved, even if some people don't want to accept it. People who've studied these things say that you and me are superior by design. So, naturally, we Occidentals should be in charge. Obviously, you can see the merits in that.
Race is a simplistic means of social classification based on easily observed attributes, hunches, and pseudoscience. The lieutenant tries to remain impassive, but the slight arch of his eyebrow tells you that he's liking it.
As arbitrary as any judgment, that doesn't make it less of a fact. We all have to use facts. Huh? Once you accept it, you'll gain the clarity of understanding.
He is comfortable reciting these thoughts. He's spent quite a lot of time meditating on the subject.
So, lately we Occidentals have experienced an unfortunate downturn when members of the superior race cease to believe in their innate superiority. They stop competing for resources. The problem? The damn kips are showing a real good game lately. Same with the mosquitoes. And the other introduced species too. They're on the precipice of cultural victory.
Cultural victory? What is this then?
It's what the kips of Boogie Street are going for, right under our noses. And the others too, on the radio. Heard any chansons lately? Heard any motetos or leader? No. Dominating culture is how they plan to win. They say so themselves. It's true. Also, you need to realize the dangers of mixing races. Who knows what might happen if people don't stay in their birthplace? You might end up with a new sub-race, with unknown characteristics, leading to extra competition. That's why you've got to control the offspring. Good. If we, the evening people, pull together, we can form a bulwark against these troubled times. Root out the forces that seek to undermine the well-being of our people.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi's stern expression remains unchanged, but you sense he can't be happy about this turn of events. Oh no, not too happy.
Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so it's a sit and wait on your ass situation. The strike? Oh, they've been at it for a while. A month, 2 months maybe. But this here is just the last week or so. Apples.
Apples is exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Look, as detective. I come from a long line of lorrymen. We got ancient rights and privileges. We're on the same side here, yeah? No need to bust my balls, huh? I'm here to pick up a load of apples. Just regular, Koiko-picked apples.
Koiko may be another derogative. For a person from Grad, you think?
Yep, it's one of their main exports. They grow him down South Yekokata. A beautiful place. Got great scenic vistas.
In fact, Yekokata is a desolate wasteland whose name literally translates to Zone of Ecological Catastrophe. It features no scenic vistas and supports virtually no plant or animal life.
Yeah? Says who? Then, I guess they grow apples somewhere else. You can never really tell with those koikos. They're everywhere, except their own homes.
He means the people living in Grad.
Yeah, you know, Gradniks, Gradvolk, those degenerates from Grad. 'Cause that's what they're all called. Koiko Pichik, Loslav Koiko, Koikovich someone. Low self-esteem, those guys have. Mind you, they look Occidental, but they're not really like us. Hey, if the name and description fit by the very grace of nature, who am I to say otherwise? Did you miss the part where I said they aren't here yet? Besides, even if I did have some, I wouldn't go putting my nose in them, huh?
Relax. You've got all you can get here. He probably doesn't even know what he's hauling, even if it is something unsavory. So he'd remain unaccountable.
Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. We've tried to hold on to our privileges. Someone with a cart. What did you think it was? That's how deep into history our thing reaches. Before machines. Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient. Very prestigious. Goddamn right. They've been trying to fuck us out of our heritage in the name of profit. But when they try to replace us, they'll regret it. Trusting street thugs with their goods is going to fuck them right up the ass. Mark my words. Generations of practice ain't no laughing matter.
When you said before that you were down with racism, was it meant in earnest? Or were you just trying to win his confidence?
Well, now you've done it. Let's see if you can talk your way out of this one.
I suppose that's a relief. Just be careful how often you avail yourself of this technique. A lie may be useful in the short term, but I have a way of catching up with you later.
We know a lie, sire, and it didn't feel like one to us. He chooses to believe, though, for now.
And one more thing. As you've seen, these sorts of attitudes are quite common in Martinez, so I expect this to happen again and again. I've had this conversation enough times in my life. From now on, I'm going to stay out of it. How you choose to respond is your business, but be careful. Now let's move on.
It's raining again. It was clear just an hour ago. Well, this might be the last snow we get. At least I hope so. Snow has nutrients in it. Helps everything green up in the spring. At least that's what my grandma always told me.
Yes, think about the cute grandma, not the weird snow.
A bit much? What are you talking about? That's what my grandma told me, okay?
She feels interrogated now. It's hard to say if she's lying.
Relax, miss. This is not an interrogation. We are just checking some facts.
Nitrogen and sulfur mostly. And whatever factories and aerostatics exhale too, I guess.
Stop looking at her. Look around. What do you see? That's right. And the canal, the bookstore, the harbor gates. This is a great vantage point for keeping an eye on you.
No, of course not. I don't understand what this is about. The kid did this, right? The red-haired rat? Can't say a sentence without or kipped. He's always giving me trouble. It is because he sent you to harass me, didn't he? You shouldn't listen to him. It was probably him who wrote that.
You've been resting here for quite a while, haven't you?
Yes, I'm tired.
I understand. The RCM isn't welcome here, and the locals want to keep an eye on us.
There's silence, the smallest of smiles.
That's okay, miss. Do what you have to do. I think we're done here. Let's go.
Indirect modes of taxation. Turns out those Financial Oversight Committee gangsters stuffed millions of hard-earned dividends away in the last place anyone thought to look. The hearts and minds of everyday Riversholians. You need to spread that deregulation gospel to the people. Tell them about that foreign fair tax. Preach that 98% gross burden. Preach it, preacher man. Set the brothers free. Taxes are racist.
fighter and a gatherer.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
From another planet. Hey there. You sure are, my man. It's the jam, my man.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils, heavy metals and other byproducts of the modern era. You can almost taste it.
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight, no explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Yeah, exactly.
It's official. He too agrees. This is the antechamber of the afterlife.
Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
Behind the laugh, however, a touch of sorrow.
So tell me, what do you need? It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out.
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
Maybe you should. Cops don't get paid much and the hours are long. Plus, you can get shot. Why not?
The RCM is a self-managing organization that operates on donations. We promote our own leaders. It would be like striking against your own mother. I don't think you understand how that joke goes, but do continue. You were asking about the strike?
Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town, too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up.
Ah, yes, from the Wild Pines. We'll meet her soon enough, I'm sure.
They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All of us do. Us lorry drivers. Camionneurs. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
What's better than chasing transient pleasures? The more transient, the better. When one's ended, you can get onto the next one. He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs.
Ask for his conclusion.
A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees. Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Time to arrest him. Relax. He's merely joking.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Found runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, tracksuits and that kind of thing. They usually get shipped to Grad and the Occident. Though we've been making headway in the Il-Moran market lately. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy.
There's no denying it. Your body needs to feel the touch of some good performance wear.
This rockin' beauty. Sure is. Like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6?
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together.
There it is again, a little touch of sadness beneath his cool. He thinks he's spent too long in this lorry.
Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
Never. They would never illegalize sport. Sport is the most wholesome thing known to man. The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. In his eyes, an unfamiliar longing. Flecks of brown and gold. It's hard to say. His gaze wanders southwest, down the street that goes beyond the horizon. The road continues for miles, flowing together with other roads, turning into causeways or bridges, ending suddenly in dead ends, or ramping up or down highways. It forms a crisscross pattern across the land, above the Jamrock Quarter, in the form of a raised motorway, and then the never-ending sprawl of Forburg, high above buildings, new and old, the air filled with the rumble of motor engines. To the old south, to the farthest outskirts of Revachol, through the checkered fields of farmland, upstream to the river Esperance, past Montmartin. The border approaches. You cannot see. It's out of the city. Up ahead, the mist blocks all sight. A gale blows across your cheeks. It is cold. Before you stands a tall lorry driver with sad eyes.
Excuse me?
A flinch jolts his frame. The question has touched a nerve.
Man, I don't know what to say. Not much anyone can do. There's no helping in absence, you know. I miss my family. They're all I have. My wife, second kid on the way, waiting all the way in Diora. And here I am stuck in this shit, so far from home. Diora of the Seven Seas. It's on the other end of Le Caillou, pretty much, on another island called Laurentide, off mainland. We've got a little place there. Can almost hear my kid laugh when it snows. What's it like? Good. And bad. An ache that brings you joy. I think of them a lot. I dream up these silly scenarios in great detail of living with them. It comforts me. What about you, Cop Man? You missing someone?
Is that what it is? This feeling? No, it's scarier than that. You're pursued by a hunter, smelling of apricots and sorrow, and the past.
I feel for you, my friend. It's bad enough to know who you miss. Missing like that doesn't feel like it has much of an upside. But, thanks for this. It's nice to talk to someone, and I know it wasn't easy to ask. I hope you find your way through your own troubles. Don't be a stranger.
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here. Heavy workers' boots with reinforced toes and hobnails, all over the yard. Isn't this something an industrial worker would wear?
Noted.
Maybe more than 12. No, 8 pairs of boots have shuffled back and forth in the mud. 1. Standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes, number 46. 2. Standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes, number 44. 3. Hobnailed work boot. Steel reinforced toes, number 43. 4. Standard work boot. Number 45 or 46? You don't know. It's a miracle you can tell the prints apart as it is. The cold must have preserved them. 5. Another standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes. Number 44. 6. An aberration. Light as air. Even pace. Same make of boot, but number 41. Impossible to tell. Could also have been an adolescent. The gate is undeveloped. You're not bad. It's as if the whole world darkens. Everything else has a thin film of unimportance on it, and the tracks burn in the middle of it, in a strange, beautiful way. 7. The glowing outline of a standard work boot. Number 46. But the imprints are twice as deep as the others. The weight exceeds 200 kilograms. 8. And yet another standard work boot. Number 44. There's an aberration in the pattern of the sole, however. The right sole is smoother, more worn.
How many? I was pretty off then. I counted 20. I never got the hang of it. Hyperopia. Do you see anything out of the ordinary? A woman or a kid? Okay. How do you know?
He knows it's hard to discern sex from a person's gait.
Understood. Anything else? 200? Could it be the combined weight of two people, one carrying the other who's tied up? Let's say a heavily built worker carrying a similarly built, soon-to-be-dead man.
He might be right. 200 kilograms of living weight is unlikely.
Possibly, yes.
But why?
Yes, they could have used a makeshift stretcher or just march him up to the gallows.
Maybe there was a physically impressive strongman in their midst. Someone who wanted to impress their peers.
You mean a display of athletic ability meant to belittle the victim? A local champion carrying the intruder alone? I can see it. Anyway, the others? Interesting. Let's name it the Old Soul.
You can almost feel the association taking form in your frontal lobe.
So maybe one of them wasn't a dock worker, but a driver. That traffic jam in front of the harbor gates. I wonder if it's lasted as long as the strike.
Check out the big brains on Harry Dubois. The joy dissipates down your spinal column like a grounding effect. Glorious intellect at work.
Yes, you are, after all, the law. We are the law of the land. We should keep our eyes open around the traffic jam, see whether anyone strikes out as a potential suspect. Seems prudent, no?
You and him are on the same page now, about the law and being it. This has affected your relationship positively.
A week, maybe? 7 days would fit the time frame provided to us by the caller, who reported the hanging.
It is not impossible.
I pulled last week's forecast for coastal Havashol. 7 days below freezing. The day before, the day of his hanging, was the last warm day.
Correct again. Sub-zero temperatures would preserve the tracks in a good state. The commotion here could have taken place a week ago.
What do I think? A mob of people brought something heavy to the tree. One of them was carrying the victim. They shuffled around, especially under the tree. Then, after hoisting him up, they stood in a semicircle facing his direction. At first glance, this appears to be a lynching.
Indeed. They all stood in a row here and looked at the tree. Yes, everything fits so well. Carried him over, hoisted him up, watched him hang. This is easy. Isn't it strange to have your assumptions confirmed like this? This is what someone whispering suggestions in your ear would like you to feel.
Do you think there's something we are missing? It does. I shouldn't have assumed in the first place. The caller could have lied. The whole thing could be misreported. Should we take another look? Or go?
The corpse looks at you with bulging white eyes. The face around them does not look human. It's swollen and ready to burst. His lips are fish-like and his tongue like a ball gag in his mouth. You seem to be holding your breath. A cargo belt twists his neck at an unnatural angle. The body below appears stiff. It's letting out an ungodly rot. The smell seeps in even through your clenched nostrils.
Active decay. It's okay to throw up, officer. No one is judging.
He's about to blow! Cock's gonna blow, Kuno!
As you breathe in, the odor comes over you. It's a smell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty. With your hands at your sides and your eyes squinting, you stand in it. It's a puzzle. What's hanging in front of you is a puzzle of decaying flesh, tattoos and tendons. This delicate machine, ready for picking. Instinctively you crack your fingers.
They do after 7 days, yes. We are deep in decomposition here.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enameled boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength. The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow. These are clearly not boots. They're armor, possibly part of a larger set.
Indeed. Technically speaking, these are sabatons, not boots.
Oh, the lieutenant uses a memo technique A6. That's not just any notebook. It's a classic. It's clearly some manner of super armor or future armor. Super future armor? I'm useless.
Ceramic plate. Zirconium dioxide, most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the heel. Fair weather. Fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff. Piece by piece. He's been out here for 7 days. It would be odd if they didn't. We should keep a lookout for these pieces. The armor could yield information. This is one thing he might actually know.
If you wear those pieces, it will help me protect your mortal coil. Yes, bullets will fly. They always do. And the coil is fleshy and mush and permeable. Cast it in ceramic shell. Resist death. I'm not squishy and permeable. I'm bark, sap and steel. Cast me in ceramic shell, but only for ritual purposes. It would adorn me well, bring me to attention.
No, I think he had something precious underneath the clothes. They had to remove the jeans and shirt we found to get to it. And this kind of armor is often worn under fabrics.
Nice. That makes sense.
They usually hang them completely naked for that. La puta madre, the Mazda, the Besmerties and the like. This one still has his underpants.
Fucking talking about underpants.
Clearly Kuno would like to interject something here, but there's not enough for him to hold on to.
It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. the constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics. For a full set, about 4 years of wages.
For the northwest region of Revachol, an officer's average yearly income is 5,500 real, unadjusted for rank.
Not too much, yes. I have no idea what that means. That's for us to find out. My initial report on the area suggests he was a security guard for the harbor company, but that's just hearsay. Just something I scraped together from my station. An area report on Martinez. I'm sure you did the same.
He's not actually sure of that. He's just being tactful.
I agree. This equipment is way beyond what a guard can afford.
A small bell-like sound fills the air, like tapping on the side of a porcelain cup. The pry bar in your hand is itching for some action.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it entirely. See?
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until there are hundreds of them altogether, like whirls of floorboards. The design looks organic, influenced by highly resistant wood materials, like lignum vitae and ebony perhaps. If trees were made of porcelain, this is what their cross-sections would look like. The smooth, glossy surface fractures into ever more intricate interconnections, peaking on the right sabaton, where you notice. The whirls are in the shape of a letter and number combination, E50, 100, 1000.
Good. Can you read it to me?
X5415 6745 678 222. Let's lie.
We have a make and a number. That's something. We can use the radio in my kinema when we're done. Either station can chase it for us.
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos and extremities blotched pink and blue. The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. Above, a sliding buckle ties the belt to the branch. This is a steel-reinforced cargo lashing belt, big brother of the regular cargo belt. It's used for tying cargo under 6-rotor airships. Oh my, there's something on the belt. A familiar word that speaks to the thirst within you. Vermilion, in yellow letters, along the length of the twisting cargo belt. Only a deep longing for vermilion golden spirits lets you decipher the fading logo of the local brewery.
Extremely. Airlifting. I thought it was used on lorries for strapping cargo to them. The local harbor uses 6 rotors to shuffle containers around. I get the sense they use whatever was on hand without paying much attention to not incriminating themselves. I'm still approaching this as a lynching, yes, motivated by the ongoing strike. You?
No, you feel like it was something else. But
yes, it often is. This bell worries me. I was afraid it would be. Thin steel wiring, parallel strands. This makes getting him down more problematic than I had assumed. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around. That ladder can't carry a grown man. I didn't see any splintering either, did you? I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt to close the buckle.
could be. The shape of the branch supports the theory. The cadaver hangs from the cargo belt, limbs limp and torso covered in tattoos. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time they intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. His corpse is marked by stars. Alcohol and heartbreak. Your fist clenches suddenly. Decay is creeping on the tattoo. Already, most of the canvas that's holding it has darkened. Now, it disintegrates slowly, letting out a stink.
Of no nation that I know of. If anything, it reminds me of religious illumination, last or penultimate century. Men who live harsh lives often turn to innocentic worship. But which one? I see no trace of a humanoid figure.
The pattern does not stir patriotic or religious sentiment in you. What it does is speak to the wounded, limping animal, the male in particular, unable to communicate in anything more than grunts. It's impossible to tell if its advice is right or wrong.
So am I.
He wears a wide leather belt around his waist and a gun holster under his arm. He takes a thin piece of milled aluminium from his coat pocket and pulls it open. Sounds like a sword being unsheathed. A small lens appears, some sort of camera.
A Trigger Sunshine.
Triggered is the world's leading manufacturer of intercommunication devices, primarily projectors. The camera before you looks familiar somehow.
Shit, Kuno! What the fuck is that?
An instant color camera.
This is the first time he openly acknowledges the kid's existence.
I have only 2 ampoules, so nobody move. I don't want to waste one.
A sound, a shrill flash, followed by the breaking of a small ampoule of glass. You see streams of color pour onto the thick, glossy piece of paper, rolling out.
In case we need it. Yes, it is pretty cool, isn't it?
There is only one ampoule left. Use it wisely.
It contains insight to the victim's person. By his build, I'd say this was a man of physical violence. The story he wanted his body to tell was important to him. It is his letter, to us. Someone should decipher it. We'll need to show it around. Sure, just don't lose it.
The glassy-eyed corpse looks by, his mouth mute and his skin as colorful as the chemical rainbow on the photo paper, teeming with opportunistic organisms. His eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one home, just subaquatic terrors there. These eyes used to be blue, baby blue. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed. What remains is an unrecognizable mess. Underneath the curdled meat there is an expression, not carried on his features, but below, inside, an expression of pleasure. This man was experiencing joy at the moment of his death.
Why do you think so? Okay. Good. The victim is of Occidental descent. Light brown hair, blue eyes.
When he says Occidental, he means white. Originally from the Occidental subcontinent on Muindi.
I'm gone. Into the wild pale yonder. In the past. Way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. A killer. A motherfucker. And a killer.
Takes one to know one.
Go ahead, Coppo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination. Go ahead. Ask me more questions. You fucking love questions. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more questions? Here you go, you loony. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. No, you're not a Harry either. You're a motherfucker. That's who you are. Rooney the motherfucker. Because you have. Do I remind you of someone?
A child born with Muller's disease, harlequinism, grown up miraculously.
You sure I got out of that one, Coppellini. Maybe I was getting my rocks off. It's a mishmash, Coppabolo. You think I'm Messinian, don't you? For you, this is how people from Messina speak like. Well, I'm not from Messina, am I? My hair is too light a shade of brown. Trust your inner racist. You think I am. You think I was a racist because this lump looks military and has tattoos. That's called profiling. Do I look like an erotic auto-asphyxiation type to you? Captain Coppodromo, I fear we are drifting away, fixating on sexuality again. Let's go with a simpler question.
He didn't choke himself. You know it.
Come back later, Coppo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green and pink. This is a trick. You've done it before. Pink is where the blood settled in the first hours post-mortem. You can use it to see if the corpse has been tampered with. Does his position at the time of death match the discoloration? Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck, just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
I see it. His neck too. The lividity goes right up his chin. We have good, well-pronounced discoloration here.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something. Black liquid streams down his thigh and onto his boot.
So, what do you think? Agreed, especially on the neck. The belt acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis supports her hanging.
You would still like the hypostasis marks in the neck to be a bit more pronounced.
Maybe it looks faint to you? It could be more pronounced, actually. Dûment noté. There's always a chance. We should check for ligament marks on his neck to see if they're in tune with the belt. We'll have to get him down first. I agree.
There are crow's feet in his eyes. He's laughing silently. His personality is no longer a part of the world.
Totally dead. Dabadoob-doob dead.
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen mud below the man's feet. Purge liquid is dripping into it, drop by drop.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the time of death.
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Did we? I don't feel lucky. I agree.
There are his person
Totally dead. That sounds about right, yes. I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with their little sport.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
It means you fucked him up good, Kuno.
But there is no breath to catch, only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils. He slowly rotates before you, decomposing.
Of course. You come back later, Corporal.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done. The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt.
He doesn't actually think the challenge is unique. He thinks it's frustrating, annoying, and harder than he thought.
The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting the airship strength material.
An acrobatic maneuver would solve this situation. Nothing can go wrong with a good maneuver.
Someone else? You mean like the police? Sadly, yes. The whole RCM is out there right now, doing the exact same thing we are. Are we in a rush to help them? Not with this on our hands. I know it's hard, but I assure you, the others won't come to help us. And we have a growing sanitary concern here. We need to get him down, fast. I have thought of that, yes. But the tire tracks would compromise the scene. Any prints would become illegible. That's if we get it through the hole in the fence. Also, my MC has a sloped roof. It's a sports model. The roof is slippery, an all-around bad platform to stand on.
He could come up with at least 4 more reasons why not to trample on the roof of his sports model motor carriage.
Yes, I am attached to it, but it's also unsuitable. We can't bring a supercharged tractor through that tiny gap in the fence, then plow the scene with it, then fall off the roof. It would sound bad on Channel 8.
It sounds fucking hilarious! Do it! Fucking get on top of it and dance, faggoty!
How about I take you, piggyback?
The fuck are these pigs talking about?
Oh, they're bank or something! Oh, it's fucking boring, Kuno! Wish they'd fuck already!
I wasn't actually implying I would. I meant it's a bad idea.
It's a fucking hilarious idea! You two puskapas get on top of each other and fuck!
In silence, the lieutenant gives you a meaningful glance, as if to say, case in point.
Climb up there and saw the branch?
It seems unclimbable, cause the ladder is treacherously rotten, but you could use your hands and feet to reach around the tree, then hang from the branch.
Honestly, I prefer a non-acrobatic solution to this. Clown cops climb tree, fall down. Enraged cop assaults children after falling from tree. Cretin cop, they like that word, saws the branch he's sitting on, literally. Local children report corpse mutilation.
Fuck yeah! Climb that shit, monkeys!
See, you're only making them do those things less.
What I'm proposing is, we save acrobatic tricks as a last resort, after we've tried everything else.
Oh, these have got to be the most fucking boring multiparts I've ever seen!
We are not getting him down already. Not getting him down is a task that's already accomplished. Sadly, it's not our job to keep him up there, but to get him down. I was really hoping we wouldn't. The Union appeared to be suspect in this case. It seems like a dangerous route to go down.
Confirmed. It's unsafe. I would really prefer if there was another way. These people might have an agenda. But what other options? The corpse twists on the belt, like chicken on a skewer.
Yeah! Bang bang time, pig! Shoot his head off!
How?
Where the buckle ties the rope to the branch. That's a good spot to aim.
Where? Ah, yes, I see. If the shot hits that, there might be a chance to release the belt.
Yeah, now we're talking. Entertain a Kuno with some shit.
They'll miss! The pigs will miss Kuno.
The lieutenant is undecided. On one hand, he wants to shoot some gun. On the other, it's an awfully stupid idea. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He appears too deep in concentration to even notice what you said.
I'll blow his head off.
Take it! Take the shot!
Yeah, take the shot. Kuno wants some of that shit.
Silence. With his elbow sharp, the lieutenant unzips his jacket and produces a lightweight firearm. He drops a paper cartridge in the barrel, separates the scouring stick, and gives the cartridge 5 tucks, securing it in place. That's a Kiel A9090 Armistice, mass-produced muzzleloader, ascetic, frugal, one of the most common firearms in the world. He then steps back and assumes the fellow Stess position, taking aim. The corner of his eye twitches. His finger is on the trigger.
He's gonna fucking miss!
The kid's voice is drowned in a shrill blast that echoes off the walls of the surrounding tenements. A cloud of smoke slowly parts in the air as the lieutenant steps back and says to himself,
God damn it.
a lot of things were wrong with that shot. The fellow Stess was the wrong choice. His shoulders were raised, but above all, he cannot trust his eyesight. He feels bad about it, about his eyes mostly, just having bad eyesight, probably from a young age. Whatever you do, do not console him.
Fucking idiot! Muckabat asshole!
Kuno could have hit it easy, but then Kuno's not fucking handicapped, is he?
No, we are lucky as it is. We didn't break anything, and the victim remains uncompromised. Any more mistakes could put us in an unfortunate position with the locals. We have eyes on us. I didn't do us any favors with that. I have to say, it's beginning to look unlikely we can get him down without assistance.
You know, you don't feel like too bad of a shot yourself.
It's bad as it is. Us shooting firearms like punks. Go ahead, I'm not stopping you. Just don't lose it.
They only have one gun!
This is the sorriest pair of pigs Kuno's ever seen.
Yeah, take it, you fucking banani pointer! Take it and shoot yourself in the mouth!
The cold piece of bakelite and gunmetal is surprisingly light. Your fingers fit right through the guard, instinctively resting on the trigger. You've held this, an A9 Armistice, before. At some point, it probably used to be your choice of firearm. It still feels comfortable, like you never laid it down.
The fuck are you waiting for, Kuno? Tell him to shoot himself in the mouth!
Kuno is silent. Aggression gathers in the air. The trigger feels delicate and ready to break under your finger. The buckle comes into focus in your sights. You stand with your feet planted firmly in the ground and your left hand supporting your gun arm.
Why don't you just shoot yourself in your mouth? At least you won't miss.
This isn't mere boundary pushing. There is a true suicidal rage in the kid as she's provoking you. Your field of view narrows. The branch slowly moves, becoming entirely two-dimensional. The metal buckle glimmers, slick, with the falling rain. The corpse slowly rotates. The slow movement of the branch in the wind, and your shoulders directing the gun sink up, dancing hypnotically. As you wait, your breathing slows down. Some mosquito-like organism buzzes in your peripheral.
Look, he's crying! You gonna cry now, fucking faggoty?
The buckle explodes into tiny pieces, coming loose with a whir. With your hand numb from the recoil, you look at the body slump down. For a moment, the man appears to kneel in front of you, looking straight at you helpless, trapped within itself.
Communism.
It takes a millisecond for the association to flash within your cortex. You have no idea where it's coming from, only that it's right. Then the rigor in his muscles gives up, and he smashes sideways into the spring mud, letting out a horrid stench.
Ace is high.
The Ace is High, a custom invented by the aerostatic brigades during the revolution, is used to celebrate success in Revachol, especially in sports. The gesture is spread across the world despite the defeat of the revolutionaries themselves. You could add an Ace's Low to it, if you like, by turning your back after the high and waiting for another. The high arrives with a sharp slap. As you turn around, there is a moment of doubt. Feels like that low ain't gonna connect. Chill. It's gonna connect. But then it does, and with furious precision. The lieutenant is not one to leave an Ace's Low hanging.
I knew these guys were
We will perform a field autopsy and determine the cause of death. But before... Excuse me.
Slumped on the ground like that has not improved the way the corpse smells. The fall seems to have released something deep inside it.
The stench is getting bad. I'm sorry to interrupt the jubilations here. I need a little breather before we do the autopsy. Yes, the 4 phases of a murder scene. 1. Investigation of the scene. I'm satisfied with that part. The trash container, the prints, we've been thorough enough. 2. Initial examination of the victim. We were exhaustive in our efforts there. Good job. 3. Field autopsy. This will not be pleasant or easy, and it will have to be performed on the scene.
The fuck are they on about?
Cops are gonna cut his shit up next.
4 and final, transport of the coroner's case to the district morgue. I'll do that. God, it stinks. No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain. From crime scene to autopsy to cleanup, we do it all. An honor and a burden attached to your rank. Mine is Lieutenant Detective, unfortunately. I can't tell you how tired I am of this corpse.
He is growing truly tired of it. It's not merely moodiness. His tolerance limit is near.
With shooting like that? Of course you are. Your station would not have assigned you to this case otherwise. In the meantime, we should locate the representative of the logistics company. My preliminary information suggests the Wild Pines have sent a strike negotiator to wrangle back control from the union. I bet she has a fresh perspective to offer us. Since we've already talked to Evrart in the harbor, that interview is done, for better or for worse. Yes, and those were the interviewees. Let's go.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion. By autopsy, the lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them.
What you do know is, at 18.9 kilometers, the dormant shield volcano, Corpus Mundi, is the world's highest summit, and the failure of the 38 single, Et puis descend, to crack the top 20 was the death knell of disco. But what a field autopsy is, you have no idea. You must have me confused with the Copperpedia. You, sir, you are the Copperpedia.
There truly is a time for everything, even for yellow gardening gloves. However, they are lacking hygienically. I suggest you get in there in limited capacity. I'll ask you when I need you to. For the most part, maybe I should handle the contact and you take notes?
You're being handled. If you resist now, he will turn on his heavy-duty authority mode. You will get your chance to dig in later.
Yes, you see, the field autopsy form is the one on red copier paper.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
the corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815. Next, NA. Next, NA. Roughly 50.
Try 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side. He nods.
Mondial. Subgroup Occidental. As per your observation.
The pudgy mess looks neither mondial nor occidental. It doesn't even look human. The next line says, as you read it, you think, that leaves out dark-haired Mesk, Sal, Saramoritian, Kedratic. Lighter-skinned occidental means this man could be Vespertine, Oranese, Messinian. Those 3 are on the table. A solid guess, Mr. Racial Profiler. Also of note, your unconscious racial profiling machine ruled out Messinian before. Despite all the Copperoonies and Kobos, that leads Vespertine or Oranese.
Fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th. 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only 1 box remains.
None. At least not after the initial examination.
A strange word. Treatment.
Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
How did you not know that? Aren't you a cop? You're leaving a weak impression here. Say something sure-handed. Don't overdo it. It's okay to be unsure.
They'd have to have incapacitated and carried him over. This man was more than a match for untrained dogwalkers.
Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosencrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbach puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else. The building is tall, 7 stories wind-wrapped in solitude. Most of the apartments are unoccupied. This was a suicide, the other an accident, the small one. And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today, 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodin, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodin, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The boots are ceramic, vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem. Removal of the boots is left for processing. The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a national pattern. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a belt for airlifting cargo around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age 42. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing.
The spine is bent more than the lieutenant compensated for. This buster's actual height is about 1.85. And no, you could not take him straight on.
Of course, I undercompensated. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with the age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
The hair under your latex fingers feels cold to touch, wet. The stench is suffocating. Strands of dark brown hair start sticking to the latex of the glove, like thread off a rag doll's head. There must be brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil.
Lividity is consistent with hanging, albeit faint, as noted. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. Steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters. The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot from his nose.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See? My pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the east. Would it be a good idea to cut the knot instead of the belt? Seems the more conservative approach. The knot is the weak spot. The chain cutters fit in there. Steady now. Like a flower arranger. 2 cuts and it should come loose. After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is gentlest. pulling up.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
Now! Let's get up and see!
I fucking knew it!
This is clearly what they've been waiting for, ever since the autopsy began. The lieutenant is trying to make it as boring as possible.
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Ah yes, your hunch before. We can have a semen analysis requested from processing, if that's what you meant. Just write down that we request an analysis.
The corpse with his pants down does not have an opinion on the subject. All he has is genitals and a deathly odor. The dead man's penis is average-sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch. You should touch it. Doesn't feel like anything. A cold spot under your gardening gloves. Unremarkable and unalive.
My pig's so fucking ill right now.
Oh, your pig's pretty sick, I gotta say.
This wasn't necessary. What's going on here? Why are you doing that? The lieutenant is unaware of what's happening in your head and why you're touching it. He merely expects you to write down his notes on the man's genitalia so you can move on.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are all combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating, especially the hip. Before you is a temple of pain that knew little tenderness.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
Last item, hands.
His flesh is cold, icy.
Pleased to meet you. Where are you from and what's your name? I'm only fucking with you. I know where you're from. From Cappadocia. And your name is Il Corbo. What can I do you for, Il Corbo de Cappadocia? You get me, Corbo. I feel like you were once, for tenderness and kisses yourself, but then shit went south and now you're ahead of even me on the pain front. We should do this more often. Be close like this, I mean.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling. I was. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, this stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment.
Working so close to the fumes coming from the corpse must be hard. You realize suddenly that the lieutenant has been barely keeping it together these past 2 items.
Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next?
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Come back late.